Assalamu alaikum. May the peace and the blessing of Allah be with you. With you today is Amani Shalabi. Welcome to my podcast, Hidden Jewels of the Quran. Reflections on the Holy Book based on our common inner experiences, integrating spirituality with psychology, science, philosophy, and ethics. Al-Qabid means the constrictor, the one who contracts, and the one who has a grasp or a grip on something. Usually, we tend to think that the formidable qualities of Allah, or the Jalali qualities in Arabic, the majestic or the severe qualities, such as the constrictor, is void of mercy and void of beauty. It is as if we assume there were two gods, one with gentle qualities and one with formidable qualities, and they are separated from one another. It is as if we think that Allah is mighty at one moment and merciful at another moment, or that Allah is the constrictor at one situation and the expander in another situation. But in reality, there are not 99 gods. There is only one God with 99 beautiful attributes. Therefore, we should understand that there is beauty in both the gentle divine qualities and the formidable divine qualities. There is hidden formidability in the gentle qualities, and there is hidden beauty or gentleness in the formidable qualities. Allah is one in essence, with all of his beautiful attributes acting all together in perfect harmony. So he is the constrictor and the expander at the same time, in one moment, in one situation. So how can we see that beauty, that mercy, and the love in the constrictor's actions? Let us first reflect on the natural world around us, because it is given for us as a book, or as marks, signs, or traces, ayat, by which we can know Allah, as Allah informed us in the Holy Quran. For example, we can observe how Allah constricts the earth to be confined to a particular orbit. What would have happened if Allah did not constrict the earth by the natural laws and he let it fly randomly here and there? Imagine how hard life would have been, if it even would exist. If Allah did not constrict the sun and the other stars and planets to stay within their particular orbits by the natural laws, the universe as we know it would not have existed, and we would not have the pleasure of this life experience. Without constriction, chaos would take place. So Allah constricts for a wisdom and due to his knowledge and as a manifestation of mercy. This is why Allah says in the Quran that He subjected everything in the heavens and the earth to the human being. This means that everything was subjected towards giving us life. How precious is that? What a great honor! This is why Allah makes an oath with the locations of the stars. For if the stars were not in their particular locations, we would not have existed. So Allah constricts everything for a greater goal, for a good reason. You could see how Allah, for example, constricts hunger by the state of satiety. Imagine if nothing can constrict the state of hunger, and it will continue to expand and expand endlessly. How the world would be, how your life would be if it would even exist. If lions were always hungry, no deer would have existed. So Allah constricts hunger by satiety to allow the existence of all entities. Yet Allah also allows hunger, or the constriction of satiety, for the pleasure of eating to take place. Imagine if Allah did not constrict the fish to stay in the bottom of the sea. If all fish would come out here, how can we handle that? If Allah let everything expand without constriction, without putting boundaries or limits, nothing would really exist or be perceptible or enjoyable. Our own existence relies on the constriction. If the universe would expand without the limitation of dark matter and dark energy, life in Earth would vanish. It seems that life depends on the presence of constriction. You are listening to Hidden Jewels of the Quran. Let us now reflect on our own selves, as the Quran asks us to look at the horizons around us and to look also within ourselves until the truth manifests to us. Let us first look at our senses. Allah constricted our sense of sight. We cannot see below certain limit or above certain limit. Let us assume that Allah would expand our sense of sight without any constriction at all. We could even see minute viruses and bacteria and galaxies and everything. You may think it would be a good ability, but in fact it would not, because it would be overwhelming and you would become paranoid if you can see viruses and bacteria all around you, because the number of these creatures is tremendous. If you were able to see them crawling everywhere around you, even in your own skin, you wouldn't be able to bear it. Imagine if you could see the bacteria in your gut or in the gut of your loved ones. If you could imagine that, you would be thankful that Allah, out of His mercy and love and care, constricted your sense of sight. We should be grateful that Allah constricted our inner organs to remain inside and casted upon us beauty of flesh. Constricting our sight allows us to enjoy the beauty of a delicate single flower we hold in our hand. It is that constriction that allows us to enjoy the pattern in a beautiful butterfly wing. When you constrict your eyes to focus on the eyes of your beloved or the smile of a child, only then you're able to enjoy that moment, that perception. Without constriction, we wouldn't have been able to identify anything or enjoy anything. It is constriction that makes you able to enjoy. Similarly, it is the constriction of your sense of hearing that allows you to hear a particular bird's melody or identify the sound of your loved ones or your child crying. It is this constriction that allows you to enjoy the sound of the waves of the ocean or the wind going through the trees. Such constrictions allows you to enjoy these particularities. It would have been overwhelming if you could hear all the sounds at once without limitations or constrictions, to the degree that you wouldn't be able to experience the joy of listening to your baby or child saying a word. Imagine if you could hear even the insects crawling all around you, and then you will realize the blessings of having a constricted sense of hearing. Similarly, imagine if you could smell everything at the same time without limitations or boundaries or constrictions. It would be too much to bear, and you wouldn't be able to enjoy a particular perfume or the smell of a particular flower. Allah also constricted our sense of touch for the same reason, so we can enjoy a particular touch in a particular moment. Allah constricts your senses to allow you to have pleasure, and that is out of His love and mercy, wisdom and knowledge. Being aware of that makes you see the constrictor, the merciful, the wise, the all-knowing, all at the same time. All of the divine attributes act together in perfection to provide for each creature exactly what it needs and what it can bear. Another evidence that constriction permits us to attain pleasure is when we study what happened during sexual intercourse. Through all of these examples, Allah is sending us a message that the divine constriction is a cause of pleasure and joy if we just trust it and let go of our resistance, of our ignorance, of our limited understanding. Allah also contracts the mother womb during labor so that she can give birth to the child, to bring new life into being. If these contractions do not occur, the embryo would not be able to come. And the embryo is comfortable in his or her zone and doesn't want the contractions to happen. So it is this constriction or contraction that allows the child to experience the expansion. Similarly, we are all like embryos, and Allah constricts us at times to push us to enter into an expansive realm of the souls. It is to make us reach our utmost potentials. Seeing how all the sign of constrictions in the physical world leads to pleasure and expansion can guide us to understand that when life events occur and we experience constriction in provision or health or feelings, we should realize that they are all meant to give us new birth or to lead to an expansion. Even during the experience of the contraction, we can find the joy. We can find that joy mixed with the sadness and the pain. If we are with Allah, if we are conscious of Allah, and Allah opens our imagination and communicate to us through that imagination, then we can find that comfort, that joy, that realization, witnessing that Allah is with us, giving us love even during the constriction. We should look at constricting events as means by which Allah is giving us new chances to experience a richer depth of life. Always remember that an expansion beyond limit might not make you grow or even exist. Part of you would die and part of the depths of the knowledge would be hidden from you if it is all expansion. Allah constricts everything for wisdom, and that is why sometimes, even without being conscious of a particular reason, we may experience a feeling, an inner feeling of constriction. Some scholars try to reflect on that phenomenon. They said it could be due to committing unconscious mistake that Allah wants to clear you of. In other words, through constriction, Allah nudges you to look deeper at your inner state, at your situation, and to realize the dormant qualities that are not known to you. It is a way to experience a new quality within you, or to wash away a misconception you hold about life, about yourself, and about people. Constriction can take us from the darkness of ignorance to the light of knowing through direct tasting or direct experience. If you're lacking patience, Allah will bring a situation in your life to make you develop patience. And if you trust that and try to accept the quality of patience, then you will realize the beauty of patience. But you can't do that in your own. You can only do it when you transcend yourself and be with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you are inactive, Allah will provoke you to become active and creative by constricting you into boredom or distress, or into making you lose provision or lose something, so you can be provoked to be more active or more creative or more resourceful, so you could know Allah as the provider, the creator. If you reject the constriction and be angry, you may lose your chance. But if you take it as means to connect to Allah, He will show you its benefit, and you will experience its pleasure. It all starts with trusting Allah, with a drop of trust and a drop of gratitude. It all starts with having faith that the constriction is for a wisdom, and it has mercy and love hidden into it. If you have that drop of faith, that drop of trust, and that drop of gratitude, you will start to become more conscious to the subtle little small actions all around you in nature, in people, and then you will start to realize the abundance that Allah gives you even during constricting some aspect in your life or your circumstances. When you really connect to Allah and submit and surrender to the hands of the beloved Allah, then you would experience that ecstasy that comes with constriction. And you will experience an inner expansion at the very same moment. Allah will expand your imagination and communicate to you through it via inspirations, visions, and unveiling of the reality and unveiling of your beautiful qualities that He bestows upon you. You are listening to Hidden Jewels of the Quran. Allah wants to purify you from lying, from pretending, from cheating on yourself, and He wants to restore your beautiful spirit through constriction. He clears your illusions and self-deception and shows you the truth. He calls you through constrictions just as He calls you through expansions, so that you can know your true self and you don't get lost in this material, perishable world, but you gain existence. And gaining existence means gaining consciousness of reality as is, because life is awareness. And the more you're aware of reality as is, the more you're alive. As you get lost in pursuing the mirage of the perishable physical material world, Allah awakens you to know the substance of your life, the beautiful qualities. These beautiful qualities are not perishable. They stay with you, so that when you return to Allah after you pass away from this world, you become truly alive. You become more conscious. You become more aware of the truly real. Allah also wants you to learn that constriction quality in your life, so that you can become His representative. When a moment demands of you to exhibit that quality, you need to be able to manifest it. He wants you to learn how to constrict your boundaries with wisdom and knowledge. For example, there is no need to keep quarreling with someone trying to change him or her mind. You need to set your boundaries at some point. You need to constrict or contract and say, I need to stop this quarrel now because it is useless, because it is draining my energy and wasting my time, or because it is becoming danger. This is why the Sufi says, don't throw gold to a swine, because the swine would not appreciate it. So you need to constrict yourself when a moment demands so. You need to constrict yourself from giving money, for example, to an addict. Allah advises us in the Quran to set boundaries between ourselves and those who are ignorant of our truth. Allah says, just say peace and walk away in peace, instead of indulging in an endless quarrel that consumes your energy and time in vain. Allah also wants us to learn how to constrict our lust, our anger, our greed, and all the selfish lower desires and negative qualities. We should learn to constrict our ignorance by seeking to expand our knowledge. We should learn how to constrict our eyes from envy. We should learn how to constrict our tongue from backbiting and from spreading fake news or scandalizing people. We should learn to constrict our negative thoughts by expanding our positive and creative thoughts. In this way, we can become the servants and the representatives of the constrictor, who is knowledgeable and wise, loving and caring, and strong and powerful. We should also learn to constrict some of the good qualities so that they would not turn to their opposites or extremes. For example, forgiveness is a beautiful good quality, but when it goes too far, it wouldn't get us out of an abusive relation, and it would become subservience or submission to some other being, limited being, created being, rather than surrendering and submitting to Allah or to the truth. If forgiveness is without limit, it will not stop oppression in the world. We need laws. We need the constrictions of laws. We need punishments, but we need to constrict these punishments. And then we need forgiveness as well, after we make sure that the abuse or the oppression stops. We need to constrict our forgiveness to a certain limit that still assures our safety and the safety and justice for others. We need to check our courage, for example. Is it endangering us because it lacks knowledge and wisdom? If so, we need to constrict it. We need to constrict our spending so it will not turn to squander. We need to constrict our frugality so it will not turn to miserliness. We need to constrict our fear so it will not take us to cowardice. So our goal is to always strive for balance and for the beautiful qualities that are appropriate for a particular moment in a particular situation. And that requires both constriction and expansion. So constriction is a beautiful quality that we should learn. We need to figure out when we need to constrict our boundaries and when we need to expand them, so no one will take advantage of us and we should not take advantage of others. Allah says in the Holy Quran, there is nothing but with us are its treasures, but we let descend of it by a certain measure. Allah is not a miser, but Allah is wise. He does not open his treasures without measure. He let it descend with a certain measure. He is not a miser. He is the most generous. Yet generosity does not mean there is no constriction. Beautiful generosity is accompanied by a constriction so that you can give in the appropriate time, the appropriate way, what is exactly needed. Allah has all the treasures of everything, but He said He let some of these treasures descend to the physical reality with a precise measure for our own good, as explained earlier. This is a sign for us how to be a constrictor, a servant of the constrictor, or the representative of the constrictor. And we can show that beauty of constriction. You, as a spirit from Allah, as a divine servant and a representative, you should exhibit the quality of the constrictor when needed. If you give or take without measure, the result will be overwhelming for you and the people around you, and you will not feel content and fulfilled. All the prophets, messengers, and saints came to teach us as role models how to find that balance, that understanding, and that beautiful qualities of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, including the quality of constriction. They taught us rituals to help us return to Allah for guidance and to help us reflect in His beautiful names so that we can transform and become their image. And only then we will find contentment, fulfillment, and we will be pleasing and pleased. Thank you for listening. Please join me again in a new episode of the Hidden Jewels of the Holy Quran.